Hi everyone and welcome to lecture 2.4 delay analysis method of module 2 concept review of Protrain's PSP review course. Delay analysis method are one of the topics where you can have a question in PSP certification as well as being a planning and scheduling professional. You should have a thorough understanding on this topic. So let's start with the learning objectives. In this lecture, we shall cover what is delay in engineering, construction and project management industry. What do you mean by it? What do we mean by it? Delay classifications and major delay analysis methods. Before we get into the lecture, let's understand that delay analysis is a very broad knowledge area which is covered under the domain of claim management. So, in this lecture, our discussion will be limited to the PSP certification point of view. We are not going to cover the delay analysis method in terms of an implementation. We will be talking about definitely delay analysis method in full detail. However, we will not be talking about the implementation, etc. Having said that, this lecture will give you a comprehensive understanding of delay analysis methods and what are their benefit and their concepts. So let's start this lecture with what is delay. Delay is a part of construction project. It's very difficult to find a construction project where delay didn't occur. It may be possible that the project completion date was not delayed. However, any activity or part of work, any project which has got no activities delay or no part of a delay is almost impossible. So delay is a part of our day-to-day business. The reason for delay is the complexity of the projects. We cannot anticipate the factors which may delay the project and eventually, or the activities and eventually the delay occurs. So let's understand what is delay. Let's see how we can define delay. Delay can be defined as delay is an act or event that extends the time required to perform tasks or activities under a contract. It is usually reflected as additional days of work needed to complete the whole or part of the project. Let's understand one example here. There is a project of, say, a construction of a building. The project duration is 100 days. At the location of project, there is a thunderstorm and the flooding occurs for 3 days duration. The impact of the delay event, which is flooding due to thunderstorm, delays the project for other 20 days. Therefore, the project duration extends to 20 days and the revised project duration is 120 days. So in this example, the delay is for 20 days and the delay event is flooding due to thunderstorm. When we talk about delay, it's not always necessary that the delay can be caused because of the change into the scope of work. Delay may or may not include changes in the scope of work or to the changes to the contract. I mean, the example of flooding we took, there's no changes to the scope of work. But there can be changes to scope of work. In our building project example, suppose the employer changes the design of the building, then the delay and it causes a delay. In that scenario, it would be changes to the scope of work. Delay in the project may or may not shift the overall completion date of the contract or entire completion date. In other words, delay may or may not be on critical path. So, When we talk about delay, it is not that we are talking about those events which are affecting the project completion date. Suppose in the building example, the building has got some utility work. It is possible that the utility work is delayed, but overall project is completed within the project duration because there was float built in the utility work activities. However, when we will talk about delay, we are definitely going to say that there is a delay in utility works. However, the project completion remain the same. Now when we have understood what is delay and what is definition of a generic definition of delay, let's talk about how we can classify them. Why delay classification is required? Delay classification is required because when we talk about delay, we are going to talk about two things. One is the time extension to the project and the cost associated to that particular time extension. So it becomes important to classify the delays so that we can relate to them type of delays with extension of time and the associated cost with them. So this is why we need to understand the delay classification. Right now at this screen you have type of delays. Now there is as such no standard classification of delays, but in day-to-day construction planning and claims management, we refer to following delay types. Starting from contractor's delay event, that is called CDE, employer's delay event EDE, compensable delay, and of course non-compensable delay, concurrent or parallel delay, critical delay, excusable delay, non-excusable delay, global delays and local delays. So these are the type of delays which are used to classify the delays in engineering, construction and project management industry. Now let's talk about each type of these delays in full detail, starting from employer delay event. So what is employer delay event? A delay resulting from an employer risk event is called employer delay event. Employer risk event is an event which occurs and which is an obligation, liability or otherwise at the risk of employer under the contract. So let's understand what is employer risk event first. Then we will go back to employer delay event. When we refer to any delay, we are essentially inclining towards a contract. And the construction contract are formed in the risk sharing mechanism between the employer and the contractor. So there are obligation of the employer and there are the obligation of the contractors. So all those risks which are employer's obligation or liability, it is called employer risk event. Let's take an example to understand that. In a design build project, providing design is employer responsibility, whereas the contractor is responsible for constructing the works as per the design provided by employer within given cost and time. So any delay that is caused by employer risk event is employer delay event. Similarly, we have contractors delay event or CDE. A delay resulting from contractors risk event, CRE, is contractors delay event. CRE is an event which is at the contractor's risk under the contract or caused by the contractor risk. When a delay is resulted from CRE, it is known as contractor's delay event. So what can be the example of contractor's delay event in the example of design build project? Slow work due to unable to mobilize adequate resources is the delay by the contractor. Therefore, it will be contractor is under the contract responsible to provide adequate resources to execute the project. So if the contractor is not providing adequate resources to execute the project, then the delay caused by such lack of resources will be contractor's delay event or CDE. Now let's go to the next type, that is compensable delay. And when we talk about compensable delay, there can be a non-compensable delay also. A compensable delay is one where contractor is entitled to financial recovery in the form of direct or indirect time-related cost arising from an employer risk event. So when we talk about any delay, the delay can be compensable and non-compensable. Now, if there is a delay and the contractor is paid in the form of direct and indirect cost, that it will be cause compensable delay. And in compensable delay, need not to say, contractor will have none of his fault. So the delay will be arising for the employer's delay event. For example, in our design bid build project, a contractor is supposed to get design information in the third month of the project. However, the contractor received the design information in the fourth month of the project, and the project was delayed due to such delay in the design information by the employer. In that scenario, the contractor will be granted extension of time, and if the contractor has not done any other delay parallel to the employer's delay, then he will be granted prolongation cost on account of indirect and direct time related cost. So such delay will be a compensable delay. We'll talk more about concurrency and all in a moment, but compensable delay is when the contractor is compensated for the delay that is occurred in the project. Now let's talk about other delays type, that is non-excusable delay and excusable delay. Delay caused by the contractor is called non-excusable delay. There is a design bid build project, and contractor has been given all the information on time. Owner has completed his obligation fully. However, contractor has still delayed the project because he could not mobilize the resources on time, or he could not procure material on time. So such delay will be called non-excusable delay. In such scenario, penalties shall apply to the contractor under the contract provision, either in terms of penalties or liquidated damage, whatever is mentioned in the contract. And then we have other delay type, which is excusable delay. Excusable delay is a delay for which a contractor will have relief from damages. In non-excusable delay, contractor is applied a liquidated damage. However, in excusable delay, a contractor will have relief from the damages. Now, when we talk about excusable delay, the delay contractor will not be applied any damages, and the extension of time to the project can be granted. Let's take an example here. Say we have a project. Say it is of 11-month duration, and the contractor has delayed the project. In that scenario, it will be non-excusable delay, and he will be applied liquidated damage. However, it happens that the project is delayed in such a way that the completion date of 11-month project is now 12 months. In that scenario, if it is excusable delay, then the contractor will be granted extension of time of for the 1 month, and he will not be penalized any liquidated damage. It is possible that the contractor can be paid for contractor will have a potential environment entitlement depending on the contractual circumstances. So, excusable delay is an event which entitles a contractor to additional time but not necessarily additional money under the contract is called excusable delay. We'll understand when we talk about the concurrency, this thing more in a better way. Now, let's talk about what is global delay. A claim for total project overrun calculated by comparing the actual completion date with the planned completion date where there has been no discrete causal link established between the delay claimed and the individual employer risk event is relied upon. Let's take an example to understand that. We are talking about, let's take an example that there is a design bid build substation project. The scope of project follows like this. There is a transformer's foundation and transformer will be sitting on top of that, and there is a fencing and gate in the project. So that is what a simple substation project is there. The project duration is say 11 months. Now what is happening? The employer was supposed to provide the access to the site on the zero date of the project. However, employer failed to provide the access to the site at zero date of the project. Therefore, the project completion date is shifted, say for 1 month. So that is called a global delay, which is fully delayed the project. Opposite to global delay will be local delay, which we are going to talk in next slide. So what will be the local delay? Suppose there is a delay in the fencing of the project boundary and there is a delay in the door of the fencing of the project boundary. That delay is a very small delay which is having local impact. It is not delaying the whole project. So that is called the local delay. So let's go ahead and see the local delay. Local delay, a delay to the group of isolated activities which are not critical, which are not on the critical path and which do not impact the planned completion date of the project is a local delay. Whereas the global delay, the whole project is shifted. And in the global delay, there is no relationship between the impact on the individual activities. However, the global delay means there is a delay of the whole project from the starting to the end. Next type of delay is concurrent or parallel delay. Let's understand an example to understand this. Concurrent or parallel delays occur when there are two or more independent delays during the same period of time. Concurrent delays are significant when one is an employer risk event and other is a contractor risk event, and the effect of which are felt at the same time. So let's take an example to understand that in our substation example. The substation is a design bid build substation, and say at the third month of the project, the employer is obliged to give the design information of the substation substructure. And in the third month of the project, contractor is supposed to place purchase order for the transformer. However, when the project proceeds, the employer failed to give the design information to the contractor on the third month of the project, and he provides the design information to the fourth month in the fourth month of the project. Similarly, the contractor fails to put the purchase order for the transformer, and he also places the purchase order in fourth month. So these two delays are parallel to each other and they are eventually affecting the installation of the transformer and testing and commissioning of the transformer and overall project. So such delays will be called concurrent delays. The treatment of concurrent delay in terms of the financial compensation of the contractor is a tricky subject and a matter of conflict between the employer and the contractor. So we are not going to cover these things in detail in this lecture now. However, if you want to study more about this, then you can refer to SCL protocol to understand this thing in a better way. Now this is what a concurrent delay is. However, there can be a concurrent effect delay also. Let's understand what are those. When two or more delay events arise at different time, but the effect of them are felt in whole or part at the same time, this is more correctly termed as concurrent effect of sequential delay event. So the concurrent effect of sequential delay event are different from the concurrent delay. Let's take an example to understand that. In our substation example, suppose the employer was supposed to provide the design information on the third month of the project, and the contractor was supposed to provide the supposed to place the purchase order in the third month of the project, and the project is progressing. Honors, the employer fails to provide the design information to the contractor in the third month of the project, but he provided the design information in the fourth month of the project. So the employer has delayed the providing the design information for 1 month. However, the contractor places the purchase order in the third month and the project progresses. During the course of the project, there is 1 month delay of the arrival of transformer at the project site because of the transportation issues. Both the delays are affecting the installation of the transformer and testing and commissioning of the transformer and eventually the completion of the project. However, both the delays are not occurring at the same point of time. So they would be concurrent delays. However, there will be a delays having concurrent effect. Now, other delay type is critical delay. A delay to the progress of any activity on critical path of the project which causes delay to the project completion is called critical delay. So delay can be a critical delay or non-critical delay also. So any delay which is causing the delay to the final completion date of the project is a critical delay. However, it is not always necessary that when the delay event was occurring, it was occurring on the critical path. It is also possible that the project has a critical path or has multiple critical paths, and there are subcritical paths having float. It may be possible that the delay occurred on a project on the path which has got float. However, the delay occurred in the way that it consumed all the float, and the path which has float at the beginning of the project is now become the critical. In that scenario also, it will be called a critical delay. Now let's see what delay type we have now. The last delay type what we are discussing here is pacing delay. Now let's understand what is pacing delay. When a contractor is involved in the project and realizes that there is or will be an owner caused delay to the critical path, and the contractor may decide to slow down selected work activities in an effort to keep pace with owner's delay, then it will be called the pacing delay. The contractor's thinking typically expressed by why should I hurry up and wait? The argument is analyzed in the legal context of that is analogous to deacceleration. Let's take an example to understand our substation example. At the third of the month of the project, contractor realizes that the owner design information is not available. And it will delay the substructure work of the transformer foundation. Therefore, the contractor chooses to delay the placement of the purchase order for the reason that if the transformer will arrive at the site before the substation foundation is ready, then the contractor has to spend additional money for safe keep of the transformer. So he delays the placing of the purchase order for the transformers. This is a example of pacing delay, where the contractor is consciously choosing to delay the certain portion of the works. So we discuss all the delay types, and then there can be grouping of the delay types also based on the cost compensability. So the first type is excusable compensable delay. These are the delay type which is caused by the owner. For example, owner initiated change in works, architect or engineer supplied design which are defective, work site is not available to the contractor in timely manner. For all such acts of delay which are grouped in excusable compensable delay, the owner is obliged to pay compensation to the contractor as well as the extension of time. Excusable but non-compensable delay, neither the contractor nor the owner's fault or fault of both of them. For example, force majeure, unusually severe weather condition structure. The third group is neither excusable nor compensable delay. These are delays solely caused by the owner and its subcontractor. In such scenario, the contractor is penalized under the provision of the contract. For example, failure of the contractor to mobilize work crew and start the work in timely manner, improperly allocating labor, material and other resources, lack of coordination of subcontractors, etc. So these are the example of the neither excusable nor compensable. So the contractor will not be granted extension of time, neither he will be given any extra cost, and he will be penalized for his delays. Now let's summarize the type of delay by simple flowchart here. So we talked about delay. What are delay? Delay can be categorized further into excusable, non-excusable and pacing delays. So we talked that excusable delay are the delay where the contractor is granted extension of time. And in such scenario, the contractor may and may not be compensated. There are scenarios where the contractor is not compensated. In such scenario, there can be concurrent delays and there may not be concurrent delays also. The second type is inexcusable delay or non-excusable delay. These are the delays solely due to the default of the contractor, and in such scenario, contractor is penalized for his delays. And the third delay type is pacing delay. Pacing delay is a situation where contractor consciously chooses to delay his obligation or his scope of works to match with the delay caused by the owner. So with this, we complete the part 1 of the lecture, classification of the delay.
Now we are at the part 2 of our lecture, and in this part we are going to cover delay analysis method. So let's see what a delay analysis method, but before we get into the details of the type of delay analysis method, let's see what are the objective of delay analysis method. The objective of delay analysis method is to calculate the project delay, essentially work backward to try to identify how much of it is attributable to each party, in that contractor, owner, or neither of them, so that time or cost compensation can be decided. So this is the overall idea of the idea of the delay analysis methods. Question that need to be answered during the delay analysis method often includes what was supposed to happen, is that the baseline schedule, what was planned, what did actually happen, updated schedule, what were the variances, variance between the baseline and the actual schedule, how they affect the project completion, what was the cause of the variance, the delays to the project, and how they affect the project schedule, who was responsible for the delays. Various delay analysis techniques have varying capabilities in providing sound answer to these questions. We are going to talk about these methods in a moment. But all these delay analysis techniques are generally based on critical path method. With this note, let's get into the type of delay analysis method. There are 4 primary methods for delay analysis. However, we must also understand that there can be more methods which are derivatives of the 4 method which is on the screen, or the hybrid of these methods. These methods are impacted as planned, collapse as built, as planned versus as built, and time impact analysis. We will understand these methods in full detail now. Let's go ahead. But before we understand and get into detail of these methods, let's understand a common example which we have taken to demonstrate the first 3 delays. So let's see what we have on the screen. For this on the screen now here, we have a schedule on the screen now. We have a schedule on the screen now. Give me one moment. We have a schedule on the screen now, and this schedule one moment please. Okay, so we have a schedule on the screen now, and schedule is divided, schedule encompasses 4 activities. Activity A encompasses 4 activities. These are activities A, activity B, activity A, activity B, activity C, and activity D. Activity A has a duration of 6 weeks, activity B has a duration of 1 week, activity C has a duration of 2 weeks, and activity D has a duration of 2 weeks again. The original overall duration of the project is 7 weeks, and critical path passes through activity A and B. Clear? So this is what we have now. And now this is a planned schedule, and now let's go to the as-built schedule. We have as-built schedule on the screen now. So activity C takes 5 weeks. Activity C is the first to start with, and it takes 5 weeks. Then we have activity A, which is taking 8 weeks. Again, it was planned for 6 weeks only. And then we have activity D, that is a successor to activity C. Activity D was originally planned for 2 weeks. However, now the activity D in the actuals is taking 4 weeks. Then we have activity B, that is successor to activity D, and this activity is taking duration of 1 week. and this duration is same as what was planned. Therefore, the overall project duration is how much? The overall project duration is now 10 weeks. As built overall duration is 10 weeks, and critical path runs through activity B, D, C, D and B. There is a change into the critical path also. So this is the second part of this example. First part we talked about what was planned, the baseline, and the part B is as built schedule or actual schedule. Now let's talk about what are the delay events occurred during the project in this example. The first delay event is D1, that is issue of the variation order by the employer. Now we have second delay event D2, that is bad weather. We have third delay event D3, that is lack of resources. And we have one more delay event D4, that is late info. So if we categorize the delay event, we'll find that event D1 and D2 are employer's delay event, whereas event D3 is contractor's delay event, and event D4 is neither employer nor contractor default. Okay, so this was the example essentially. Now let's talk about and go to each delay analysis method and understand using this example. So let's start with the first method is called impacted as planned. As name suggests, impacted as planned method is impacting the baseline schedule or impacting the planned schedule and identifying or calculating the impact of the delays. Now let's understand how this method is used. Use the baseline schedule and impact the schedule with delays. To conclude the delay period, do the mathematical sum between the baseline completion date and impacted as planned schedule completion date. In other words, say if your baseline schedule duration is say 10 months, and after impacting a delay on the baseline schedule, the impact is say for 1 month. So the mathematical sum, it was 10 months and then it became 11 months. So the mathematical sum difference between the baseline and impacted schedule date is the delay. That is of 1 month. So how to find each party delay in this scenario? To examine the effect of contractor's delay, impact the baseline schedule with the contractor's delay. To examine the employer's delay, impact the baseline schedule with employer's delay. There can be one more way to identify the employer's or contractor delay using the as-built schedule also. To conclude the other party delay, you may use the as-built schedule or the actual completion date and do the mathematical sum between as-built completion date and the as impacted completion date. Let's understand this by example. Say you have a baseline schedule of 10-month duration. However, the as-built schedule is of 12-month duration. You impacted all the employers' delay and found out that the schedule is shifting from 10 month to 11 month because of the employer's delay. So, but the 12 month, the schedule is shifting by 1 month. That you have 11 month of the duration when the schedule is impacted by the employer's delay. However, the as-built schedule is of the 12 months. So 12 minus 1 month will be the other party delay. In this example, the contractor's delay. So this is other way to calculate the other party delay in the impacted as planned method. Now let's take an example to understand that. How graphically we can understand that. So as mentioned that it uses the as planned schedule, and as planned schedule is impacted by the delays. So first what we will do, we will insert the delay number 1 into the as planned schedule. So in this slide we have inserted a delay D1 which is due to the variation order. So add first delay which is of 3 weeks, and we find that 1 week critical path delay is occurring to the project. Then what we will do? We will insert the second delay of bad weather. and we'll find out that no critical delay is occurring to the project because of the bad weather. Then we go ahead and insert the third delay of lack of resources, and we find that 2 weeks critical delay is added to the project. We go ahead and add the fourth delay, that is late information, and we find that no critical delay has occurred to the project. So this is how the impacted as planned method works. Essentially, it is impacting the delay event on the baseline schedule. So let's see what are the strengths and weaknesses of the impacted as planned method. Strength, needless to say that it is very easy to understand because we are taking the baseline schedule and then impacting with delay event. Least amount of variable in cause and effect equation. It's very simple, right? I mean, what is causing delay and how it is getting affected is very straightforward. You inserted a delay event and you saw the impact on the baseline schedule. Does not require at-base schedule because we are dealing with only the as planned or baseline schedule. Can be carried out contemporaneously. This means that this method can be done while the project is under progress. We'll understand what is mean because other method, for other method to be carried out, some of the method are required for the project to be completed as well. So we'll understand that what is meaning by can be done contemporaneously. Does not require progress schedule as it is impacting on the baseline schedule. It does not require the progress schedule. So let's see what are the weaknesses we have. Does not account for changes to logic or duration in planned activity. So what is happening here that this method is carried out by using the impact on the baseline schedule. However, it is very difficult in the construction project that the baseline schedule was always followed. There are changes to the baseline schedule sequence of the work as the project progresses. But this method does not consider the changes into the sequence during the analysis. So this is one of the weaknesses of this method. Produces theoretical result based on hypothetical equation. So when we are not considering the actual sequence of work, so this method is rather a theoretical method, and the hypothetical what if analysis question is asked that if it was delayed, what would happen? It is not actually considering any mitigation on the contractor side and so on. Cannot identify the true concurrency because it is worked on the baseline schedule. The actual delays by the other party cannot be considered in this method. So these are the weaknesses of this method. Now let's go to the second method, that is called collapse as built method. So as the name suggests, collapse as built method is collapsing of the as built schedule by removing each and every delay in the schedule. Now how it is happening, let's say that you have a schedule which is as built schedule and the delays are in the as built schedule by both the parties, the contractor and employer, and then one by one we are pulling out the delay. So in order to do that analysis, first of all we should have a as built schedule, and it should be such a as built schedule which can respond to the removal of the delays to the schedule. Okay, so these are true criteria. And again, when you are talking about as built schedule, then definitely the project is completed. You cannot do this analysis prospectively or contemporaneously. Okay, so now let's jump to how the collapse as built method is applied. So as we talked about, there are two broad steps of applying collapse as built method. The first step is creation of as built schedule. First method is creation of as built schedule. And the second method is remove delay event from the simulated as built schedule. So let's go to first method, that is creation of as built schedule simulated. So what we are what we are achieving in this step, that we are creating the as-built schedule that will respond to the removal of delay from the schedule. So it is a simulated as-built schedule, not exactly the as-built or updated schedule. So what, in order to make a simulated as-built schedule, we have to assess the as-built schedule available in the project. Then what we have to do is take the as-built schedule or monthly update to the project, identify variances between planned and actual performance, and as-built relationships. So definitely there was a planned relationships, and as the project progresses, there the relationship and sequence of activities changes. So we have to study that. Then they produce a simulated as-built schedule. The first step would be to bring back the data date. We cannot stick to the updated schedule data date, which is completion of the project. We have to take the data date to the the beginning of the project. Then in the updated schedule, there will be fixed date. We have to remove those fixed date and replace those dates with the planned dates. As well as we have to change the network logic based on the way the actual activities were carried out at the project. The logic of the actual activities can be based on the updated progress schedule produced during the works. So after following these steps, we have step 1 completed, that is creation of as-built schedule simulated. So we have as-built schedule. As-built schedule has already captured the delays happened in the project, as well as as-built schedule is following the as-built sequence of work, and it has got the as-built date in the schedule as well. Now in the step 2, what we are going to do, in the step 2, we remove delay events from simulated as-built schedule and see how the as-built schedule is collapsing. Remove employer delay events from the simulated as-built schedule, remove delaying activity in reverse chronological order, and recalculate the completion date. I mean, the first delay event will be removed, then second delay event will be removed, and third delay event will be removed. And every time the delay event is removed, we are assessing the completion of the project. Thereby, we are finding the impact of each and every delay to the project schedule. So let's take a graphical example and understand how it behaves. So this is on the screen, you have a as-built schedule logic linked, This is as-built schedule with the link logic. So what is happening here? We have the schedule, the way it is built, and it has got the delays also. So as we understood, what we are going to do, we are going to remove the delays as well as one by one. Okay. So first, we are removing the delay number 1. So we remove the delay number 1. And when we remove the delay number 1, 1 week critical delay is allocated to delay number 1. So schedule is collapsed by 1 week by removing the delay number 1. Then next step, what we are going to do? We are going to remove the second delay. And when we remove the second delay, we find that 1 week critical delay is allocated to the delay event number D4, that is a employer's delay. Then what we do here, again we remove one more delay, and then we find that the 1 week critical delay is allocated to delay event number D2. And this is how we'll find out that the 3 delay event has contributed to the 1 week each of the delay event method. Now if you have gone through the other method, you will find out there's a difference between two. Okay, so each delay analysis method may produce the different delay results also. So this is what the collapse as-built method is. Now let's talk about what are the strengths and weaknesses of the collapse as-built method. Let's talk about strength first. It relies on the as-built schedule, that is a strength, so that the method has considered the mitigation made by the contractor. This method has considered the actual work sequence. This method has considered the actual dates on which the works were completed. Based on a simple and easy to understand principle, it's quite clear that there is a schedule and you are removing the delay, each and every delay, and then finding the impact of the delay. can isolate impact of employer delay event from the contractor delay event when it is applied, when it is it you know iterative applications are applied. I mean, in the example what we did, we have removed the employer's delay event, but we have not touched the contractor's delay event. So this method we can use very nicely to see what was the impact of the contractor's delay and what was the impact of the employer's delay. It only relies on the as-built schedule, as we have discussed, does not require progress update, does not require a baseline schedule. Sometimes the progress updates are required to create a baseline, to create an as-built schedule. However, it is not necessary that you always need a series of progress updates. Weaknesses. Reconstructing a sufficient detail as-built schedule is a very laborious exercise. The information about the way the project was completed, the relationship and the dates on which the activities are completed may not be available all the time. So collapse as-built method is based on the as-built schedule, and in order to have this analysis in the right way, accurately, we need to have a as-built schedule that is correct and that reflects the actual sequence of the work which was carried out at the site. So if that as-built schedule is not proper, the result from the collapse as-built method may be erroneous. So this is what the weakness is, that constructing a sufficiently detailed as-built schedule is laborious exercise and may not be always correct. Reconstructing as-built logic is subjective. This is because of the fact that normally in the project we don't capture the as-built logic. It always changes. So there is no means of capturing the as-built logic in the project. We only update the progress on the baseline schedule, so we capture the dates, but we don't capture the sequence of the project very often in the construction project. So that is also one of the weaknesses, that the as-built schedule logic may not be always the true logic, which is the way the work is carried out at the project site. So this is the strength and weakness of collapse as-built method. Now let's jump to as-planned versus as-built method. So as the name suggests, as-planned versus as-built method is a comparison of the as-built schedule and as-planned schedule. So let's see how this method is executed. This method considers the plan and as-built comparison of start and finish dates and relative sequence of various schedule activities. Quite clear that in as-built and as-planned method, we do the comparison of start and finish and the sequence of the activity which was planned and which is actually carried out. Implementation of as-built versus as-planned analysis can vary from simple graphical comparison to more sophisticated implementation. So we can say that as-planned versus as-built method is not a single technique of, not a single standard technique, but that can be a more of the various techniques. We'll understand this when we are getting into the subject more, this method more. So as-planned versus as-built window analysis is one of such methods. In this method, the schedule is divided into various windows and following steps are performed. So when, as we talked that the as-built versus as-planned method can be performed in various ways. A simplest way is a comparison of as-built and as-planned, and then see what happens between what was planned and what actually happened, and what was the reason of the changes to the schedule in terms of a start and finish date and the logic, the relationship between activities. As planned versus as built window analysis method is one of the as planned versus as built delay analysis method. In this method, what is done? Window level variance is analyzed for each window. Then we perform cause, liability and impact assessment analysis for each window level variance. Then we split the window level variance to employer delay event and the contractor delay event and analyze the delay and who is responsible for delay and what happened during the windows. Now let's take the graphical example to understand that. Now what we have here the we have here the project now, and we have here the baseline schedule and the as-built schedule sitting next to each other. So let's see what is happening here. We had a project which was completion date of 7 weeks, but now we have a project that has got a completion date of 10 weeks. So we are putting the as-built and baseline schedule next to each other. Next thing what we are going to do, that we are slicing the project duration into various windows. So let's see how it is working. So we are slicing the project into 3 windows, window 1, window 2 and window 3. And the time slice are analyzed progressively. So let's see what we are doing. First we are going to take window 1. Okay, first we are going to take the window 1, and we are in that window 1 we are going to analyze that what are the delay happened by the in window 1 we are going to analyze a window level variance. I mean, this window we are seeing that what was planned and how the activities were delayed during that window, and who are the party responsible. That we are going to analyze the employer's delay and the contractor's delay during that window. Then we go ahead and then we jump to the window number 2 and we do the same analysis. What is the window level variance and who is responsible for the window level variance, what happened during the window. Then we go to the third window and perform that analysis. Then we go to third window and perform that analysis. So this is how the as planned versus as built analysis works. However, you will understand that this analysis is at the example of the as planned versus as built analysis we have taken. It is an analysis of the delays during the windows. It is not able to comprehensively establish what was the delays out at the project level. So essentially it is a comparison of as planned versus as built method, and there can be various sub method to analyze the delay during the window or at the project level and so on. We must understand this method is based on the variance between what is planned and how actually the project was built. Now let's see what are the strengths and weaknesses of this method. Strength is again intuitive and easy to understand what was planned and what is actual. Conclusion readily supported by as-built records. Does not require frequently updated progress schedule again, because you can take a updated project schedule at the end of the project and do the comparison. Can identify concurrency in the period of work was actually carried out, because you are analyzing the contractors and employers delay together. Therefore, you can identify the concurrency in the period it is carried out. What is weaknesses? It required as-built schedule because it is a comparison between planned and as-built schedule. As-built you must relate to as planned sequence of activity level variance method. If there is a change into the schedule during the progress of the work, then this method cannot be applied, because you cannot apple to apple compare between the baseline schedule and the as-built schedule. Require analyst to deduce the as-built critical path and absent monthly progress updates. So in the event where the monthly progress updates are not available, the analysts have to identify the as-built critical path. So these are the shortcomings of as planned versus as built method. Now let's jump to the last method of time impact analysis. So time impact analysis is a most widely used method of delay analysis method, for the reason that this balance between the collapse as built method and impacted as planned method. Let's talk about when I say what is mean by the balancing between two. When we take about the impacted as planned method, we are talking about taking the whole project what was in the baseline, right? And we are setting into the zero date of the project. When we are talking about the collapse as built method, we have completed the project and we have developed a as built schedule and we are analyzing that. But it is not possible that you want to analyze the delay and you have finished the project. You want to analyze the delay contemporaneously also during the course of the project, wherein the time impact analysis method comes as a help, which considers the updated schedule until the delay date. Let me emphasize it, which considered the updated schedule until the occurrence of the delay date and considered the as planned corrected schedule for the prospective or the remaining duration of the project. Okay, so let's understand how the time impact analysis is carried out. The schedule is divided into snapshot periods, the period when the delay event is occurred. In order to perform the time impact analysis, the schedule can be divided into various time snap periods. Basically, this is a clubbing of the duration where the delay event or event occurred. I mean, it is possible that in this example, we are going to have a 20 weeks project, and it is happening that the 2 or 3 delays are happening in the beginning of 5 weeks. So that we'll have one time slice or the snapshot period for beginning of the 5 weeks. Then other can be, second delay occurred for other, say, 15 weeks. So that will be a second time snap period, and so on. List all the identified delay which occurred, which event with duration, predecessor, successor, commencement date, when the event was first identified or first has an effect on the work, and assign them to each snapshot period. So we have snapshot period and we are identifying delay in terms of duration, predecessor, successor, commencement date of delay, etc. And then what we are doing here is that obtain the progress data for all the activities in the schedule at the point immediately prior to the delay event for each delay commencement date. This schedule is called base schedule. Let me take an example. Say that there's a project is of the 20 months and the delay happened in the 6th month of the project. So what we will do that we will take a schedule update until the 6 months of the project, and then we will impact that schedule with the delay events, and then we will see what are the impact of that delays in the updated schedule for the 6 months. When we take example, we will have more clarity on that. Convert each delay event into new subset of activity as fragment. Insert each of the fragment one at a time chronologically into the respective base schedule. When 2 or more events commence at the same time, the fragment can be entered one at a time or combination in a TIA model. This progress can be carried out once for employer delay event and separately for the contractor delay event, and cumulative loss or gain are determined for employer delay event, contractor delay event, and concurrent periods. So it's quite simple. Let me recap how analysis. So what we are taking, we are identifying delays or a delay, and then we are identifying what was the start date of the delay or when the delay started to impact the project. Then suppose the project is of 20 months and the delay started to impact on the 6 months of the project. So what we will do, we'll take a update up to the 6 months, and then we will form a fragment of the delay event and then insert that fragment into the 6-month updated schedule, and we will see the impact. So suppose that the schedule was updated 6 months and the projected completion date of the schedule was, say, 20th month. After the insertion of the delay fragment, the schedule is showing now 22 months. So the impact of that particular delay will be for 2 months. Now let's take an example, graphical example, to understand that. So here is the time impact analysis. So what we are going to do, we are going to divide the schedule into the snapshot period. This is 1, and that is snapshot period 1. Okay. Now in the snapshot period 1, if you say that it was in the beginning of that, sorry, I'll just move the slide forward. Let's go back to the base slide. So what is happening here? It is a base slide here right now. We have, it is a baseline schedule, and the baseline schedule we have divided a schedule into snapshot period, that is snapshot period 1. And when there was no delay to the project was supposed to be completed in the 16-month or 16 period or 16-week, whatever. Now what is happening? Delay occurred within the first snapshot period are added into the schedule as a fragment and reanalyzed. So there's a delay which is happening between the snapshot period of 1 and 5, and the delay has been inserted into the schedule. So when we have inserted the delay into the schedule, we are finding that the project completion rate is now shifted from 15 to 17. So the impact of delay that occurred within the snapshot period 1 is for 2 months. Okay. Now let's go ahead and talk about the second snapshot period. Second snapshot period, there are delays are occurring here, and in order to do analysis for the second snapshot period, we have to take the as built schedule for the second snapshot period. So the bars in the red color are showing the as built schedule for the second snapshot period, and we see that in the as built schedule the completion date was on the 17th month. Then we go to the second snapshot period. In the second snapshot period, now we will insert the delays for the delays those who happened in the second short period. So let's add those delays. So we have added those delays. Now adding those delays in the snapshot period 2 will further delay the project completion. So this is how it will look like, So it has influenced the project completion, and we have a new project completion. First it was in the 16 weeks, then it has gone to 18 weeks or 18 period. So this can be done for the third snapshot and so on. Okay. So this can be done for the third snapshot and so on. So the end date based on the actual progress, and now we can have the delta between the snapshot period will determine what was the actual delay happened due to the insertion of the fragment. So this is what the time impact analysis method works. Essentially, we have to take the updated schedule just before or near to the start of the delaying event, and then we have to insert the delaying event to the fragment in the schedule and analyze the impact of it. Now let's talk about what are the strength and weaknesses of the time impact analysis. The strength of the time impact analysis is easy to understand, can be carried out contemporaneously, relies on contemporaneous intentions, and accounts for the changes to logic duration of the remaining activities from time to time, consider dynamic critical path, does not require as-built schedule, can identify approximate concurrency. Now when we are doing the time impact analysis, then what we are doing, we are making the changes to the sequence of the remaining activity with the best of the intention, the way the contractor is carrying out the work in this method. But impacted as planned method, we are not making any changes to the sequence of the work to suit the actual sequence of the work or to relate to the actual sequence of the work. And time impact analysis, we do this. So this relies on the way the contractor is intending to perform the work. Now what are the weaknesses of that? Cannot identify actual concurrent delay, because this method is still prospective in nature. You cannot still, it is the half of the schedule is completed, the remaining portion of the works is balanced, so that you cannot really identify the actual concurrent delay. It is a labor intensive method again, because you have to do various time slicing, impact, insert each and every delay and analyze the differences. It is technically complex also. It's difficult to explain that how the delay has been inserted, what is impact of that. Required frequently updated progress schedule. That is one of the most requirement. That if you don't have the frequently updated progress schedule, we cannot perform this analysis for the very reason that the base schedule is the update just prior or near prior to the delay event. So we want a frequently updated schedule. So with this, we complete our methods of delay, and let's understand what we learned in this lecture. So what we learned in this lecture we learned what are the delay. We understood that the delay is an act or event that extends the project duration. We also understood that how the delays are classified. We talked about delay, the classification of delays from employer delay event, contractor delay event, compensable delay, non-compensable delay, critical delay, excusable delay, pacing delay, local delay, global delay, etc. Then we talked about 4 types of delay analysis method. These were impacted as planned method, collapse as built method, as planned versus as built method, and time impact analysis method. We found that while the impacted as planned method uses the baseline schedule, collapse as built method uses the as built schedule, where the time impact analysis method uses the schedule which is under progress schedule. So with this, we complete this lecture.